Okay, I'm a little nervous about this one today because the hotspot on my phone, like using the internet from my phone, has not been great. Huh. Like it's not streaming to Twitch, and I'm not sure why. The connection actually looks pretty good for now. Wonder if I need to maybe refresh Twitch. Yeah, looks like it's happening. So, I'm really not sure what I would do if I did have to replace my internet right now. That would not be my favorite thing. But here we are. This is daily game design session number, I have no idea. It's probably, I think I started on the 17th of June. That can't be right. I believe I did pass a month. Um, uh, Wait, no, there's no way that, I don't know. Because I got back from China in like early June, like the first half of June. And then that's when I was really trying to solidify my sleep schedule. By the way, last night was the first night I've gone to bed after 1 in quite a while, and that to me was not cool. It's not cool for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's because it, is pushing against this routine I've been establishing now for a couple of months. And the other reason, no, there are two more. Yeah, another reason that it's not great is I was really tired and I was having to do work, and I'm finally used to going to bed around between 10 and 11, and now suddenly it's 2 hours later, and I was rushing to get some work done for this class I'm prepping, and I'm flying to Kauai today, but I wasn't sure if I would be flying at like 9 something, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. or almost 2 p.m. I wasn't sure. So, I wanted to get this class stuff done, partly because I've got my little setup here, my camera's there, I've got some lights, and I already recorded one video for the class, and I wanted some continuity. It'd be great if I was always in the same place, looking like just working with the same perspective and stuff in these videos, especially the early ones. So I had to get this video done, but it was the kind of situation where I recorded, let's see, the first video took me, it's almost 30 minutes long. It's like 25 minutes, 27 minutes. And anyway, I knew I wanted this next one to be shorter. It's the kind of thing like an orienting video where I'm talking students through a little bit about how the website works and then some stuff about class policies. So I finished recording and it was like 16 minutes or so, not crazy. But then I realized the software I'm using is called Panopto. I never selected to record my screen. So, oh, and it was just getting later and later. I got back from the game store. Actually, I walked back. I got home at like 10:30, so it was already a little late. I knew I needed to pack for Kauai. I had all this other stuff to do. And then my internet just started like dying. So, it's 12:30, and I'm trying to figure out all these ways to get my internet to stabilize. So I didn't know that I could share my internet with my laptop through Bluetooth, first of all. That was one option. Then I also learned I could share internet through USB. I just didn't know. So I tried these other options and they weren't working great, and there's like an error in my lap. Anyway, just time just kept slipping past. So I finally re-recorded the video and then did some final packing, and I'm just thinking, oh no. So it's already 1, and Eric told me he would know which tickets we're getting in the morning, and so I thought, yeah, I'm just gonna be tired tomorrow. But anyway, there's some good news. You all can hear the roosters. I was awake, I don't know, at 6 something, a little later than usual, actually. And then I heard that we're flying we're flying out at 2, so I will have some time to finish up my work here, to obviously to stream, and then even do a little more classwork, stuff like that, and then I'll head out. So anyway, pretty excited about that. So here I am back in Ravens, and I have some ideas from Zach and Kristen, or from Zach. So I wanted to go through his ideas and maybe do a little research, because I don't fully grasp what he's talking about, but I'll let him know. So he's referring to something in Nemesis, which is a cooperative alien themed game, or it's like it's loosely based on the movies. My understanding is that they couldn't get the IP for Alien, so I don't know if this does anything, but Grandma, my friend Kenna's grandmother, gave me some wintergreen essential oil, and it's supposed to, I don't know, be anti-inflammatory or provide pain relief or something like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, I like wintergreen. It smells nice. I grew up going to a summer camp up in upstate New York, and we would go, this is in the Adirondack Mountains, and we'd go hiking around, and we'd find wintergreen, or like you see the little wintergreen leaves, or the tea berries. So tea berries would be the berries that those plants produce. I'm not sure. I suppose maybe they're medicinal or something. Maybe that's why I just rubbed some on my neck. But I loved the flavor. You know, you could take those leaves. So fast. Hang on, I'm going to finish the sentence. We literally lost. So I was playing, my friend Nathan set up Nemesis for us on a Monday night. It's this big, expansive, sprawling game. And then I think there were 4 or 5 of us playing. We're just getting the ideas, you know, just getting our turns figured out, when we realized that all of us were having the worst rolls possible, and all of these aliens were sprouting up everywhere, and we got annihilated so fast that I didn't even feel like I really played the game. So it looks like Zach's idea is still there. There was when we discussed it during our last meeting, there was an idea where, here, I think I'll be able to illustrate it here. So I think this is what the tiles look like, and so I'll just get rid of this stuff. So these are the tiles, and so one idea was that we go ahead and line these up. was that we would set up the board, like if these tiles were all face down, for example. So let's say they started like this, right? And then you would reveal one. And then you'd reveal one, and let's say it's, I guess that color might not be great. I guess mountains can be a different color than I was thinking. So mountains, let's say you flip it over and a mountain is revealed. At that point, and I think this is where Zach's idea is going. Well, anyway, there's kind of a fog of war situation where you're exploring out onto the map, and as you move onto the map, you start revealing tiles. So you're out looking for food. I mean, the story is that you're gathering bread and meat, and then delivering that stuff to Elijah, right? So, at least that's the general, that's the plot. So there, as you can imagine, we've gone through several different approaches to like what could this map look like, and we ran across, or like I brought up this old prototype that we were using for my friend's game Biome Borneo, and then I realized, wow, this is actually cool. Like these tiles would create a modular map, and it would give us more flexibility on setup and maybe a little more a creative, kind of creative outlet when it came to like how could we arrange this map, where's the replayability coming from. Anyway, so if we could just lay out these tiles randomly, or we could have some provided we suggested setups and stuff like that, that'd be kind of cool. So in that prototype, all of the tiles, these 7 hex tiles, are they're all one color. So I think we just kind of move forward with some ideas, assuming that they'd all be one color. Anyway, as I started playing with this, it felt really weird to me that, actually we could do it here. It felt weird to me that that the tiles, as I was starting to set them out, it felt like the tiles can't make a shape. Actually, maybe they can. Where, like, it kind of would sit pretty square on the table. So see what's happening already? Like there's this drift, right, in the positioning. If I rotate it so that it's kind of like, will this be 30 degrees? So that the, so the tiles are kind of pointed up differently. Like that's okay. And the thing is, if the board was always, I might be stressing out about having this like symmetrical board, or almost symmetrical. I mean, it looks at least like we're dealing with some straight lines. Because if we offer that if we just give examples of different maps that are oddly shaped, it wouldn't matter at all. Like, I guess we don't need, but like, how do you tell, like, in a map like, let me go back down here, in a map like this one, you can say where the starting points are. You could say, okay, you start in this top corner here, corner, corner, and corner, for example. But if you don't have something like that, and you do have the players with minis or Raven tokens or something like that, one question is, where do they start on this map? Are there like nest spaces that are randomly distributed? Do you retain those nest tiles and like place them at the end? Like it just sounds like setup is getting complicated. Or maybe you could just choose whichever space you want along the edge. Maybe that's also fine. And that wouldn't be that hard to explain, right? So this actually doesn't look bad. Why was I'm trying to revisit why I was kind of stressed out. Oh, you know what it was? It's because of the it's because I was setting all of these tiles out and I was creating snap points in Tabletop Simulator. And what I realized is I was trying to fill up the whole table with these tiles, and as I did that to create the snap points, I noticed that if I tried to make something that looked regular in shape, there were some weird angles that were starting to happen, and I thought, wow, this is like distracting. Like this is kind of weird. But at the same time, that's not a commitment we need to make. We don't need to say we have to fill up the tile with a shape that looks regular. Sorry, we don't have to fill up the table with a shape that looks regular. Why in the world was I stressing about that? Okay, so he references Nemesis and then goes on. I can imagine something kind of similar in Ravens. Wait. There's a search action. So I honestly don't fully know what he means by this search action. I wonder if... So it's interesting because I gained a follower in Twitch and then I lost a follower in Twitch. But what I'm wondering is if Twitch, I could screw up my whole stream by doing what I'm about to do. I wonder if Twitch is actually working, because it could be like, to think that I'm live. What I see though on my laptop is that it's actually frozen in like a weird... What I see though on my laptop is... Wow! It's actually frozen. Wow, that was very low. That was impressive. So it's not wasting energy somehow and showing me the live view over here on Twitch. Anyway, that's cool. Okay, so basically each area that gets flipped over has a certain number of items in them. A player can use a search action to gain one of them. Okay, I can imagine something kind of similar in Ravens where when a terrain tile is flipped over, if you're doing a Fog of War, and this is the idea that, you know, you're exploring, you don't know what's on the other side of these tiles. So including the terrain, you don't know the terrain. So it turns out that this one is a field. Now that color is suddenly too close. A field, and this one is a forest. Oh wow, amazing. So you're moving into these spaces and flipping them over. So what would... Huh. Well, let's see. I can imagine something similar. Okay. Each color region is given a number of resources in them. A raven in that color region may search the region. Number 1, drawing a number of resources from the appropriate bag equal to the number of resources in that color region. So I think the idea is, let's say a mountain tile has let's say, I'm not really going to be able to do a great job of like here. let's say meat, of like showing a tile flipping over. As I do this, the further in I get here. I'm pretty amazed that the stream is keeping up and still everything over here is like loading slowly. I wonder if it's a priority thing. Okay, number 2, that raven then places all resources that aren't blank across the color region hexes. This would effectively mean you have one bag with resource numbers and one bag for each color region. So then there can be appropriate bag development within all of them. So I'm trying to understand the bag of resource numbers. What is that for? Okay, because yeah, wow, look at this. This is pretty crazy that I can be streaming I wanted just like a flat, an image of a flat piece of meat. Maybe this is the closest. I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so it'd be something like this, I guess. And then let's do a bread one. Okay, let's say it's this fancy bread the ravens are bringing. The ravens are bringing an Italian loaf. Okay. Maybe it should be like a flatbread. Let's try flatbread, see what comes up. Maybe I could say pita. Pita bread. Like this looks pretty good, but it'd be hard to tell. Maybe naan bread? Is that good enough? Or something simpler, like this is maybe okay. Looks kind of like a burger. It's just, this also looks like a steak, right? Okay, so let's say mountains are more likely to have meat. for instance. Okay. So then these icons would be sitting somewhere on this mountain tile, and let's say that this tile also. Let's just look at like maybe a different type of, like a different layout. So this one might be, there might be like 3 across the middle like this, right? Oh, I see. Okay. So I'm just gonna show Zach this idea right here. Or maybe like this one has a bread. Why is there bread in the mountains? Nobody's sure, but it's a miracle. So let me. So the idea is, what if they, so they reveal the tile and now there's a bag of meat tiles. Or there's a bag of bread tiles. And there's not a guarantee of what's on the other side of those. Meat, bread. But most of the resource tiles are what? Predator tiles, or dummy tiles, or blank. Because let's say they pull a resource number. They pull a 3 resource tile from the resource number bag. What would they do next? These are mountain tiles. They would draw 3 mountain tiles and place them somewhere on the mountain terrain tile. Mountain resource tiles. What would they do next? In this example, these are mountain tiles. They would draw 3 mountain resource tiles and place them somewhere on the mountain terrain tile. I guess I should call them mountain terrain tiles, right? In this case, this would mean 2 separate bags, or the mountain tiles. Huh. The other thing, I guess another option would be that there is one resource bag and mountain tiles simply call for more resources in general. Let me see what that would look like. Actually, I'll be right back. Let's see what he said. So, one of the things I recently discovered or realized, I'm sure it's not worth calling it a discovery, but this is something about living alone. I have only one. Well, no, how to say this? I've had one roll of paper towels for weeks, maybe 2 weeks. That's amazing. I've had one roll of toilet paper for about the same amount of time. It's just amazing. Like normally, if I was living with these, 4 or 5 guys, that stuff, it was almost like a mystery. Like, how in the world are you guys using this much paper, this many paper towels? Like, what are you doing? And so maybe they're just kind of cleaning or something, and we just had like, I might use a rag or something like that, whereas they might use like 1,000 paper towels. Anyway, and then we'd share some of those expenses, right? So if it's $26 for a big thing of a package of toilet paper from Costco, we'd split that, so that's fine. But it still felt like throwing paper into the void. Just like, what is happening with our resources? How are these disappearing so fast? So anyway, it's kind of interesting to have just manage my own paper system and move at my own pace. So it's been pretty nice. What I bought from Costco for this, for this apartment might last me for a year. I don't know. Let's hope it does. Okay, so I was in the middle of a thought here. Another option would be that there is one resource bag and mountain tiles simply call for more resources in general. So it would look something like this. So we'll just copy another one of these. And so it could look something like, we're going to create a contrast here. So we'll use this guy too. Make this one green. And let's make another one yellow. Okay. And like this. So now there are resources. Let's make a dot, I guess. Why not? So we'll just make this, it kind of doesn't matter. But let's say, let's just make it a white dot for fun. Maybe that's not a great plan. Okay, let's say the forests have at most 3. I think the plains should all have maybe 1 resource. Okay, so it could kind of have weird distributions on these. And then, so like the plains could have 1 to 2, for instance. Now this should be a different color. I'll make it black, I guess. So it should be 1 to 2. And then 3 to 5. And then 5 to 7. It'd be 3 to 4 and 5 to 7. So I guess there would never be a blank, right? So it would be 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 7. Right, so maybe these get filled in here. So maybe we'll make this a 5. Okay, and I'll get these out of here. The rooster's really active. Okay, so let me screenshot this. I think what I like about this is that like plains. We could do like 1 to 2. Forests. 3 to 4. Mountains. 5 to 7. Towns. Okay, so I'll show you this game that Andrew dropped into my Discord server, and I just got schooled by by Josiah. Oh man. Oh. Okay, so I'll show you how this game works real quick. It's a word association game, and I can show you a practice one. So, well, actually, this just demonstrates how it works. So there are these two words, and what you do is you think of words related to either or both of these, and you start adding them to this field. And so the system connects words that seem, I don't know, lexically connected. So, letter, internet, mail. Okay. So I already did today's, but maybe it'll let me do it again. Yeah, this one took me 20 tries to figure out what was going on, and actually I still can't. I can't remember. I don't remember what it was. So maybe I should sign in here. Sign in with Discord. You know what I really should be doing is my laundry. So that's the first thing after the stream that I'm going to jump into. Still interesting that Twitch looks frozen to me, but it's still alive. Yeah, interesting. Hello? Is this not working? Okay. Like Van and Hill. Like think about what crazy connections you'd have to come up with to what is than? Is that a preposition? Anyway, to get to an object. Hill. What in the world? Smoked. Look. It took me 20 tries. It took Josiah 9 tries. Yikes. That's tough. Alright. Okay, so I have a couple working options. And I actually like revisiting these tiles versus this crazy map like this. I still prefer these. I wonder if we need town tiles or not. Like, I wonder if we should just know what towns are all the time, right? Let me just drop a little building in there. Ancient Egypt house. I'm gonna check graphics. So all I want is, yeah, something like this. So here's this little town. It's right here. Right. So when you change the color here and make it, I don't know. So that is a town. And the town is a place you go to get bread, probably, right? I don't know. A town could be like just a stable resource. And what happens... You know what would be cool is actually the town. Maybe you stack like some number of resources on the town and you can look through them and pick. I kind of like that idea. Actually, I wonder if forests should have the most stuff. Anyway, this doesn't really matter. It's more like the concept. Does the concept work? Yeah. Oh. You shouldn't see that if you want to play. You saw that mess of words everywhere. That was tough. Yeah, I think this is going to be a day where I'm a little tired. I'm definitely going to need a nap. I mean, we're practicing music at like 5:30. So I think this is actually a simpler version of what Zach was describing, but I think I like this better than having separate bags. I like this better. I mean, there's just one bag of resource tiles. Maybe there are 2 predators in there, you know, and there's some balance of meat and bread. I think the only thing was the only reason to have like mountain and plain tiles is it's a probability question. Should you be more likely to find meat in the mountains and bread in the forest? That's the big question. So with this formulation, you could still... Okay, this is where it is, actually. You could still... I think the second... maintains... either maintains your idea of separate bags or we could simplify further. Bag of resources. From their separate bags. To one bag of resources. Simply ask for different numbers of tiles from those bags. like either 1 or 2. We simplify further to 1 bag of resources and terrain tiles. And the terrain tiles simply ask for different numbers of tiles from that bag. So I like this. I feel like this is progress. It was funny to realize why I went this direction in the first place, and it was just because of the way things were looking on TTS. That's so sad. What was cool is it kind of created an unnecessary pressure to like maybe think of other options, which I think was cool. Oh, this is cool. I just got a text from, this is funny, somebody I met through, I want to say Hinge. This was maybe 2 years ago now, and we met up for coffee. Had a nice conversation, but it was pretty clear that we had like really different just like enough differences where it would be obvious that like this probably wasn't a great fit. So that was kind of nice to figure out. But very sweet young woman, and productive. She's an entrepreneur. So I followed her on social media after that, and we stayed in touch just a little bit. I saw a video she posted about going to some, I think it was a convention in Vegas about luxury travel, I think. And anyway, I had this idea recently, sometime within the last 3 or 4 months, where we have these tiny homes at the camp where we do the retreats. And the tiny homes are like really fancy. I think I could probably show you actually. Yeah, let me see if I can get these pictures. So I had this thought where we could fly people in. They could stay in the tiny homes. We could organize daily tourist trips, or like activities. And this would be, for people who they have more money, more disposable income. Oh wow, the last thing I texted Randy was about these tiny homes. Let me see if I can. Yeah. Okay, it looks like, all right. So here are the tiny homes. They're not that tiny, actually. That's the cool part. I think they comfortably house 12 people, I think. And they're kind of more built for families. Wait, okay. So here's the common space that's in the middle. And what you have is this dining area, or service area. You have the sectional couch. And then in this same space, you can see all the appliances. I wonder, I can't zoom in. Yes, I can. No, I can't. Google is fighting me. So you have all the appliances like microwave, oven, refrigerator, freezer. But then there's also like laundry right there under that prep space or the serving area. It's amazing. It's really nice. There's basically everything you would need, and there's a fair amount of space. Okay, so then there's this ladder up into a loft, and they are like mirrored halves in these tiny homes. So the same thing exists on the other side. So you climb up the ladder, and there are 4 like twin mattresses laying on the floor up in that loft. It's you can't stand up, definitely not. But like you climb the ladder, you crawl into bed. That's all you need, right? And then There's the view with the laundry. Oh, there's a dishwasher too. And so these places are like set up pretty nicely. Okay, then here is the downstairs room on both sides of the building. So you have a nice queen bed, and it's just really comfortable space. There's a bathroom right here. Okay, so again, there's two of these. Where outside of the downstairs room, you have this little sink, you know, where you do your morning rituals, and then there's the bathroom, the toilet, and a full bath, shower, etc. right behind there. So these were finished this past year, or there might be still some details that need to get sorted out. But anyway, I had the thought, we bring you in for 5 or 6 days. You stay in the tiny homes. The tiny homes are not cheap. For guests, they're really meant, or for paying guests, they're really meant for volunteers, for summer camp staff. They seem a little too fancy for that. But, well, especially for the volunteers that come out and, spend their time and resources on upgrading the camp, building new things. You should see, like, some of the changes that have happened in the last 5 years. Since I've been here, they've done huge things. And most of it is volunteer hours and donations. So it's nice to be able to take care of those people, put them up in something comfortable and fancy. Oh, of course, there's AC in these too. Okay, so we fly people in for 5 or 6 days. They enjoy the luxury of the tiny homes. We bring in a cook, we do all their meals, or we do like breakfast and dinner. And then we do outings during the day, bring them back to camp. We could do campy things like jump in the pool, have a bonfire, that kind of thing. But then also we have a curated gaming experience where I have my library, or we bring in a few people that have some of the more fancy, most anticipated games, that kind of thing. And then we just run games for them. I was talking with these two ladies last night, had a fun conversation with them after playing Machi Koro Bright Lights and something. Maybe it's the latest iteration of Machi Koro. We chatted for a while, and I asked them about this idea and, where would they take people touring and that kind of thing. And they got it. Like, it made sense to them that this is something that, definitely a certain audience would be excited about. And they love the idea of, you do a little bit of a sampling of games the first couple of days. And then for fun, you have like tournaments, you have leaderboards. There's 2 tiny homes. So even if we just filled one of them for now with a couple of families and that kind of thing, then, I think we could create a really, really cool experience that targets gamers and people that are interested in traveling and visiting places around the island. I think that'd be a really, really cool pairing. It'd be very niche, but I think that's the point, right? The point is to own a niche, and I think that'd be really, really awesome. Who in the world is doing luxury tourism and gaming? I'm sure somebody does, but nobody on this island does something like that. So anyway, I think that's it for me. Glad to make some progress thinking through some Raven systems, and this is the point. Just chipping away bit by bit. I need to do my laundry. Anyway, thanks for joining, and I will see you soon.